Actually, we've got about 34 people who have joined so far, and we'll get started. Other people will join as we're starting. Welcome, everybody. This is UC Davis Extension's information session on our new program, Data Visualization with Tableau. And I'll do some quick introductions. First of all, thank you all for joining us during your lunch, and good afternoon as our afternoon starts. My name is Alex Lowry. I'm Senior Director here at UC Davis Extension in our Center for Program Innovation, and with me is my colleague Elizabeth.
Hi everyone, I'm Elizabeth, and I, along with Alex, am here to answer your question on our data visualization courses.
And as the courses, we're doing this via webinar. So with us on the webinar are instructors, Josh Karpin and Suk Brar. And Josh and Suk, go ahead and say hi.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Great. And we'll be hearing more from Suk and Josh later on, not too long. Into this program where they'll be describing themselves and introducing themselves in detail, and also introducing their courses and giving you some examples of what their courses are about. So I'll go into our agenda here. First of all, we're really excited to be here to start this program. UC Davis Extension's new course here is really something unique for us in this market. It's an online instructor-led course, so people can come in from anywhere, and it's focused on this key new skill in the area, data visualization, in a leading tool, Tableau. So for our agenda, what you'll be learning in this introductory session is, first of all, what's the career outlook? What are some of the trends for data visualization? We'll go into that. Then we'll describe the courses. Josh and Suk will each describe their courses. Suk has 2, Josh has 1, and you'll learn what's in there and get some sample types of learnings that you might get from the courses. And then I'll take over again and we'll talk about the class experience. So what's this class all about? How is it run? What are the expectations for you in terms of what you do in the class? Then we'll go into Q&A, and actually, we'll have plenty of time for it. We expect to have up to a half an hour. However, don't be shy. If you have a question while we're talking, please feel free to type it in. You'll see if you mouse around the interface here that there's a Q&A tab, and you can click it and you can type your questions right in there. And we'll either address them in line while we're running the presentation, or we'll save them for the end and address them then. But we really do appreciate your questions. Also, as you may have noticed, the webinar, the panelists are able to speak. Everybody else is muted. There's a lot of us, so that's important. And so you'll be able to hear us, but you won't be able to speak. So when you're communicating with us, use the chat functions or the question functions. All right, I believe that finishes off our agenda. Let's go to the poll.
So hi, before we go any further, we just want to take a few minutes to get to know you and who's out there and who we're talking to and what brought you here today. And really, what's your experience using Tableau? So by taking a little poll that I'll start in a second, we can get an idea of who else is in the room. And you'll see here, I'll start it and then you'll be able to see, what brought you here. For example, did somebody tell you to come? Did your boss or your colleague or a friend refer you to coming here? Or you have Tableau on your computer and you really have no idea where to start? Or maybe you've used Tableau a few times, but you're not really a confident user and you want to build your skills. Or you're really a regular user and you're looking for tips and tricks to improve your data stories. If you have another reason for being here, great, let us know. We're happy to see how we can help you.
Perfect. And what you do is you enter your answer and click submit, and then we'll give this about 15 to 20 more seconds for you to determine which of these matches you in terms of, really, we're looking at your interest in being here and also your level of use for Tableau, and that'll help us all to tailor our message here. I'll answer too, just so you know what my situation is I think I've used Tableau a few times, but I'm not a confident user, I would say. Okay, perfect.
All right, great. So it looks like we have just about everybody answering, I think. Oh, a couple more coming in. I'm gonna end the polling now. Sorry, I keep moving away from the camera. I'm gonna end the polling now, and I can show. Oh, another couple people coming in.
Perfect.
Yep, great. Maybe I'll give it another second or two.
Let's talk about what we're finding here. So this is great. I'm not sure. Can you, if you end the polling, will it share? Let's try.
Oh, let's try that.
Share results. There we go. Okay. So great. Everybody can see the results. The winner is, I don't know anything about Tableau, but my fill in the blank here suggested I learn more about it. So we have that at more than half the people here. And then the rest are distributed between some use of Tableau, not very many on probably one, given our size here, is a regular user, and then a few others. So thank you all for answering the poll and commenting on your interest in Tableau today and on data visualizations. All right, let me advance. So at this point, just to queue up the course descriptions themselves, we'll talk a little bit about what's the trend for careers in data visualization. Let's start at the macro level. So the IDC, the International Data Corporation, which is an analyst firm, it has issued a paper, that suggests that by 2020, the world will have about 50 times the amount of data generated as was generated in 2011. So it's going to grow 50 times as much. And in addition to that, there's going to be 75 times the number of information sources. So if you think about all the sensors that are out there telling how fast you're going or detecting the color of plants at the end of a robot, things like images that are on all of our phones that are going into the various apps that are parsing those images, data from all of our use of the web, data from a host of other sources. All this data gives us really huge potential to understand problems or to gain insight, to see opportunities, or to create solutions. But to realize this potential, people are going to need to be able to accurately interpret the data. And that means that there's going to be a lot of people that they're going to need the skills to be able to do this, to extract data, to transform the data, to analyze it, and to represent it in all types of contexts. Let's look at this IBM study. 2.7 million new data analytics job openings every year by 2020. What IBM is studying, they studied this with an organization called Burning Glass, which does job data analytics. The current state is that there's about 2.35 million of these types of jobs. So they're looking at a growth of over 300,000 jobs. These are requisitions, companies and organizations, people looking for employees with this skill set. That's going to be in place by 2020. Just breaking that down a little bit, about the growth in that is going to be about 100,000 for data-driven decision makers, so people that need to use data in their decision making. And by the way, that group is about a third of this 2.7 million by 2020. And just taking one data point from last year, 2016, saw a 31% increase in job openings that were calling for data visualization as a skill. So the market is recognizing that there's an opportunity and that there's a need here. So you're in the right place here. Let's talk a little bit about Tableau. Tableau is one of the leading tools in the market for delivering these types of analyses and visualizations. The average salary of jobs in the U.S. with Tableau in the job title is $102,000. And if you look at Indeed, you'll see a range, right? Intelligence analysts get about $64,000 a year average in Indeed. And data scientists are looking at about $130,000 in Indeed. And of course, this stuff is regionally dependent. And Sacramento is its own market. But you can get a sense for, what are these jobs, what's the opportunity out there. And there are other jobs, many that require this skill: data analysts, research analysts, business analysts, data scientists, project managers, marketing specialists, data engineers. and data visualization specialists, along with any leadership type of job that, as I said, is using data for decision making. Outlook looks good. The trends look really positive for this skill set. So let's talk about the courses, and let's hear from our instructors. This is we're really excited to be working with these experts, and Suk, I think you're probably a great person to lead off since you have the first and the second courses. And we have you showing mute so far, Suk.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly.
Yes.
Nice. So, hi, my name is Suk Brar. I've been in data visualization for probably about 3 to 4 years now, but my entire background has always been in data analytics and primarily statistical analyses. I received my MBA from UC Davis recently, actually a little bit over 3 years ago, so not so recently, but as I transitioned from being a data analyst into data visualization, I started seeing the potential that Tableau had in the actual market, and also the potential and how important data visualization is. As a lot of people and a lot of analysts come from data analytics, we usually we have a big impact on the data visualization field. One of the things that we have a hard time transitioning from is going from data reporting and essentially living in Excel is to going into data visualization and understanding that there are a lot of other tools that are available for data visualization, and that there are a lot of other tools available to tell our story or tell the story of our data. And it's really nice to see that a lot of you coming into this course do not have a lot of experience with Tableau or data visualization. And one of the greatest things about this course is that as you come into course 1, we are going to begin with the actual basics of Tableau and data visualization. So we're not going to just throw you into training with Tableau. We're actually going to start you off slowly and try to teach you what is data visualization. Why is data visualization important compared to reporting in Excel or just standalone reporting, and teach you the really basics of design and also how to design in Tableau really well. So I think that's going to be a great place for everyone to start, and then we're going to start building on those skills. We'll go into a little bit about data visualization design principles, so teach you on things that you should be doing and things you shouldn't be doing. And then we'll start getting into what Tableau is. We'll start talking about what data connections Tableau can make, how to do some data preparation with Tableau, and how to understand what types of data Tableau can play well with, how to clean your data, and how to bring all that data into Tableau so you can actually do some analyses. In the first course, we'll also start touching on some data visualization within Tableau. So we will show you the capabilities of Tableau. We'll start going through all the charts that Tableau can provide, which charts are good to use, which charts are not the best to use, and which charts are really great to use with specific types of data. I know that a lot of people coming into this course will love to use pie charts and will love to use bar charts and think that those are the only 2 charts available to everybody else in the data field. But as you begin to get into the data visualization field and start working more and more with Tableau, I think you'll start to begin to understand that there's a lot of different ways to tell your story and to explain what the data is without just using really simple graphs. And another thing we'll start touching on is we will give a lot of real-world examples. We will bring real-world case studies, and I promise you that you will see some really, really cool and complex data dashboards, and you will be very, very surprised. So I think that covers up all of course 1. And then in course 2, we'll actually start doing a little bit deeper dive into Tableau. This is where we'll actually start doing more of the analytics. We'll teach you how to do the simple analytics from simple math and simple statistics to getting a little bit more complicated. We'll start showing you how to do some different types of charting. We'll go through heat maps. We'll go through geospatial mapping. And we'll start getting into how do you actually go from just creating one specific visual or multiple visuals and then combining them all together into a nice cohesive dashboard. And we'll also touch on a lot of the basics of dashboarding too. Sometimes you will see a dashboard that is just very cluttered, and we will teach on, hey, these are the basics that you need to understand before you can actually just put 10 different charts on one dashboard and think it's going to actually tell the story of your data. So I think one of the biggest things that you'll take out of this, of course 1 and 2, besides actually learning about Tableau and all the analytics that it can do, is that you'll understand how to start telling your data and how to tell the story of your data in different ways. And you'll always see that there's more than one way to explain what you're saying. And I think one of the best things that you'll get out of this is how that you can take a very, very complicated data set and you can break it down into its simple parts with Tableau to tell your story better and get your point across. Cool.
And Suk, just tell me when you want me to advance through your example here.
Sure. So these were a couple examples that I wanted to just show across. So starting with course 1, so this is a simple report-based visual in Tableau. And we will begin showing everybody that, hey, you can take a standalone report that you might have on a PDF or an Excel document somewhere, and we can create the same exact report within Tableau. Just to get you understanding, hey, how to bring in data, this is the stuff that we can show very quickly. And I'm moving on from that, we will show you, here's a different way to represent some of that data. This is a map of the United States, and by using different types of colors, different sizes on the circles, we are able to represent that same data a little bit differently, but a little bit more appealing visually. And then moving on from there, we'll start into course 2, we'll start getting into more different types of charting and when to use specific types of charts. So this is a heat map within Tableau showing by using different types of colors and different grading on the colors. We are able to express our data one additional way. And then at the end of course 2, I think we will start bringing it all together and we'll teach you, hey, how do you actually make a nice cohesive dashboard that explains your data really, really well. And even what we're looking at here is a nice dashboard. Overall, it's a pretty simple dashboard that's been built out. But in addition to this, we will start using real world case examples and show you some nice dashboards, which you should be able to do by the end of course 2. Thank you.
Thank you, Suk. So, Josh, if you'll take us through Visual Data Explanations, the 3rd course.
Yeah. Thanks, Suk, and thanks, Alex. So yeah, I'll talk about Visual Data Explanations. That's sort of the 3rd and final course of the series. So first, just some quick background about myself. My name's Josh Carpin. I'm a senior consultant with Analytica Consulting. We're a small consulting firm that specializes in data analytics and visualization tools. So beyond that, I'm actually a certified Tableau developer. So I've got that certified professional certification from Tableau. And so one of the goals of all 3 courses, but hopefully by the end of the 3rd at least, you'll actually be able to take, ideally that 1st level certification from Tableau, maybe even the 2nd, and pass those. So that's going to be one of the goals kind of the whole program. Also, I want to say I have online degrees that I earned through Northwestern and UC San Diego. So I understand the online learning process and what it takes to make an engaging and enjoyable online learning experience. So I think that'll help with this class. So yeah, just getting into what the class covers, Visual Data Explanations. So we're the first 2 classes that Suk is teaching really lay the foundation and sort of the groundwork of Tableau skills, data viz best practices. The 3rd course is going to sort of build on those and really teach you how to do some more advanced Tableau functionality. So things like level of detail calculations, as well as maybe some chart types that are not built into the tool, for example. So some more advanced sort of tricky features you can do with Tableau. And then we're also going to focus on telling stories with your data using Tableau. So what are some data storytelling best practices? How do you plan out your story using a storyboard? And also just how do you plan a data viz project start to finish? What do you ask your stakeholders and end users to make sure that what you're providing aligns with what they need? So we're going to share some real world experiences along the way there as well. So if you could move to the next slide, I've got an example.
Oops.
Cool. Yeah, so this is just an example of what we mean by a data story, storytelling with your data. So this is Simpsons Vizpedia. This is on Tableau Public, created by David Newman. So we're going to take some of these dashboards or these data stories and really break it down and kind of learn how they were built, what works and doesn't work with these, in terms of how they're telling stories. We're also going to learn how to do some of the more advanced things, like even putting a custom icon like you see in the bottom right there. They've got the Simpsons characters on each bar. So we're going to teach you how to do little tricks like that. So yeah, really how to use something like this. So we're going to critique it as well. We'll talk about what doesn't work, what could be done better with examples like these. So that's just sort of an example of what we're going to cover in the course. And so by the end of the third course, you're going to be having a professional grade, really portfolio ready Tableau product. So either a data story, an infographic, but something that you can add to your resume, your portfolio. You can even publish it to Tableau Public that you can then use to share with prospective employers to show them what you can do and what your skills are. So something to really show off what you've learned. So that's going to be kind of the goal at the end of course 3. So yeah, I think that just about covers it.
Perfect. Thanks, Josh. Thanks, Suk. So what I'm going to talk about now then is, what's the experience for you as a learner or as a prospective learner in these courses? First of all, in terms of what you need to be before you even consider coming to these courses, what are the prerequisites? What do you need to be able to do? There are no required prerequisites for the courses. You can come into the introductory course with very little experience and you'll get to pretty good level of fluency with Tableau and the basic tenets of data visualization. For the other 2 courses, the exploratory dashboards course and the visual explanations course, those courses we recommend, and you'll get the most out of the courses if you do this, that you have a level of experience equivalent to what you'd get in the first course. So you have that foundational know-how with Tableau. But it's not required. You can get that however you get it, by already working with Tableau, for example. So what are you going to see? There are going to be instructor-led webinars. So Suk and Josh every week for the 6 weeks will be on webinars. In the first course, it'll be for 1 hour a week. In each of the other courses, it's for an hour and a half a week. The sessions themselves are intended to be interactive, meaning not just that you're interacting with the instructor, but you'll also be collaborating. The lessons will be broken up into class time chunks where you're getting concepts and then you're working with the concepts, and ultimately you're working towards activities in those portfolio pieces that Josh mentioned, and they will be collaborative in some cases. So working together and being there is really important to the learning experience. The instructors also are carefully curating for good readings and good other instructional assets that are out there in the ethersphere that you can use to develop skill in Tableau. And so, for example, and in data visualization. So some of the things that were pulled down from the Tableau public site, for example, but curated by an expert so that you really are seeing the most useful learning stuff. And I hope that answers the question from one of our listeners about, is there a text assigned for the book, for the course? There are not texts, but there will be a lot of ancillary materials. And there are also some recorded lectures that we have that are going to be used for the course as well, so that you'll get many different ways to view the content. The learning then is this timed webinar every week, and then self-directed learning, meaning on your own time you're expected to be going out there and consuming these materials and actively working on them with your mind so that you are getting development, not just from the time with the instructor in the class, but also the time with the other materials. As Josh and Suk mentioned, the projects are real. They're authentic. They'll be useful as portfolio pieces. So you'll have data visualization development experience coming out of these courses. And as I said earlier, we covered that they're 1 to 1.5 hours, depending on which course, and that there is a lot of self-directed study every week. In terms of the logistics for the course, so each course is 6 weeks long. And the first one kicks off on February 7th. It runs through March 14th. So those 6 weeks. And that is the Introduction to Data Visualization with Tableau, which would be the recommended course for any of the other courses. And it's about $700. The next course, Tableau Dashboards for Exploratory Data Analysis, it kicks off on March 28th and runs until May 2nd and is $895, as you see. And the final course, Visual Data Explanations, kicks off May 16th, goes through June 20, another 6-week slot, and it's the same rate. And so you are looking at, for the full set, about a 5 to 6 month experience. Now, for each course, what you're going to get is, if you complete the attendance and homework requirements, then you get continuing education credits, 2 credits per course. If you complete also the final project with a passing mark from the instructor, then you'll be eligible for a digital badge for that course that you'll be able to share on your social media.
Hey, Alex, we have a question that I want to point out here. A couple of people have asked the same question about having a software license.
Perfect. I don't think I covered that. So yes, so the course does come with a software license. It comes with a learner's license to Tableau, which means that you can do your own private analyses. It's a 6-month license, and then it's renewable one time, so you can have up to 1 year. And the code for that comes during the first weeks of class. Anything to add on that, Elizabeth?
Nope, that's perfect. Thanks.
Okay. So there's probably other questions, and we will get to them. But I just want to alert everybody too on the call today that we are going to be issuing a survey after the call is over. You'll get that as an email from the same source that sent you the webinar link. And when you complete that survey, you'll get a follow-on email for a $100 off coupon for completing the survey and attending the informational session. So with that alert, let's move to questions. And we do have, looks like to me, I'm looking at my phone here, about a half an hour for questions. So please ask away and type them in to the Q&A section again at the bottom of your screen. So we have.
And I think this question actually can be answered best by either Suk or Josh, actually. Can I import a GIS layer for my city and smaller neighborhoods that I can use for the geo-based analysis? Suk or Josh, can you answer that question? Oh, Suk, I think you're...
Yeah, to answer the question, you can import, like let's say you've got ArcGIS, you can import shapefiles into Tableau that you can use to put polygon layers on your map, or if you've geocoded street addresses. So Tableau's got a lot of built-in geography information, but it just doesn't have the ability to geocode street addresses. So you can do that in another tool. There's free tools, or there's ArcGIS, for example, which I think you're asking about. You can geocode in there and then export that and put it into Tableau. So yeah, depending on the type of analysis you're trying to do, there's ways to put, bring your geographic data into Tableau.
Great, thanks.
So we have another question. Will we have access to all the materials if we're accessing the lectures through some sort of portal after the class completes? So the portal that we're going to be using is the UC Davis Canvas portal. It's our learning management system. You will have access to materials after the course for a period of time. I'm going to have to get the period of time, and we'll send it out to the group.
We have a couple more questions here. What is the principal difference between Excel and Tableau? Maybe Suk, you want to address that? Oh, Suk, we can't hear you.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Cool. So the question was, what's the main difference between Excel and Tableau?
Yes.
Sure. So I think the biggest difference I've seen between Excel and Tableau is that Tableau is very visually based, where you can actually take a lot of the things that Excel cannot do, especially in the realm of charting, that you can do it in Tableau, or even if Excel can do it, it's much easier to do it within Tableau. I think a lot of the visualizations that I've created, or even dashboards that I've had to create for my company, and I've had to do them both within Excel and within Tableau, just to even just to sell Tableau to my company, just so, hey, this is much easier to do. You can decrease the time and effort of making dashboards that will take so much longer to do in Excel, that was much, much quicker to do in Tableau. And also Tableau does allow a lot of the distribution of dashboards to be much easier within companies, depending on whether your company, similar to UC Davis, has Tableau at a server level. There's a lot more that you can do without just having a standalone report or a standalone dashboard, such as Excel allows.
Great, thanks, Suk. We also have a couple of questions about discounts, and discounts particularly for UC staff. And I just want to point out that we do have the $100 discount for attending the session that you'll get after you complete the survey. We also have early bird registration discount, but discounts can't be combined. We also do offer a UC Davis employee staff discount. It should be available when you go to register on the drop-down message. But again, you can only use one discount at a time. So if you sign up for more than one class, you can use one discount for the first class and additional discounts for the second and third courses. So there are multiple different kinds of discounts available. And if you have any further questions about discounts, you're always welcome to email me. My email address is on all of the emails you've been receiving confirming this webinar. And let's see, we have another question here. Do you want to take that, Alex?
Certainly. You mentioned the live webinars. Generally, the benefit of online classes is to learn when it best fits your schedule. Will there be recordings to watch if the live sessions don't fall at a time convenient to one's schedule? This is a good question from Megan. The online does create convenience, sometimes in terms of time and frequently in terms of place, right? You don't have to go to a site to go to the course. The way that this course will be designed in terms of the webinars themselves, there's going to be a lot of value in the interactivity, right? In working with your peers to solve problems or to analyze some of the visualizations that the instructors put in front of you. And you won't be able to get that from the recorded view. There will be a recorded view available, so you can always keep up if you should miss one of the sessions. But it wouldn't be recommended if you were planning to miss all the sessions and just do recordings to take this course. You should plan to get the most out of it, and to get the badge, for example, you'd have to be there at all but one of the live sessions.
Thanks. And there's another question I think we have for our instructors here. How would you compare Tableau with Power BI? Suk or Josh?
I've used Power BI just a couple times, so I'm not as familiar with it, but in my experience, it's a bit more clunky compared to Tableau, and the graphics don't generally look as good as they do in Tableau. And, I think it's sort of an attempt by Microsoft to be like Tableau. That said, it is built into a lot of the Microsoft suite. So for some companies, it's easier to turn on Power BI rather than implement, Tableau. So I think a lot of companies go towards it as sort of a cost savings measure. But in general, I feel like, in my opinion, Tableau is a better, more robust tool for analytics. I don't know if Suk has any other experience with Power BI.
Sure, and I completely agree with Josh. And I think one thing to mention here is that Tableau is not the only data visualization tool that is available. Power BI is, like Josh said, it is available. It's widely available in a lot of enterprises, but it is much more clunkier. SAS has their own BI platform now that they are pushing. There's QlikView. There is SAP Business Objects. So there are a lot of other data visualization software out there, but for us, and the reason that we actually like working with Tableau is that it is much smoother to use and it is much more user-friendly, especially from a developer perspective. When you are creating dashboards and you're trying to get a lot more structure coming through your company, it really does help out having a user-friendly tool such as Tableau.
Perfect. Thank you
Great,
both.
thanks.
We have a question. I'll address it. We have a question about the time of the course. When is this going to occur? If the webinars, if you need to be there, when do I need to be there? And we haven't established that. We haven't finalized on the time frame for this for the courses. If you have votes, we'd love to hear from you. Right? That we're still trying to understand the marketplace in terms of the different needs of folks coming in, whether they need it during the day or during working hours. Clearly, we have to work all around instructor schedules as well. So timing will be established, and we would like to try to understand what timing works best for people.
As it is now, the way we've established it is that we would do the first session. They all take place on a Wednesday. The first session of the first course would take place from 6 to 7, so a post-work time hour. And then Suk, who runs that first session, would determine together with the students in the class that are enrolled in the class what time works best for all of you. It really is adaptable, and as we said, it will be recorded, so if you can't make a session, we encourage everyone to be there for the interactivity and the collaboration part of these sessions. But in order to do that, we need to make times that work for everyone.
Elizabeth, somebody asked if they have a recommendation for time, where should they send it?
Yeah, they can send it to us, and we'll share it with Josh, you, and Suk.
Yeah, they can send it by email to me, to Elizabeth. Great, thanks. Let's see. We have somebody asking if they want to take advantage of their free time during spring or Christmas break or holiday, winter holiday, to start the class already. That's great that you're so eager.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we can't. We do have set days for these classes. The webinars are set starting on February 7th and running the 6-week periods with a week in between. So the schedule is set. It's just the time of each session that can be a bit flexible depending on Suk and Josh's time and depending on the rest of the participants. So I'm sorry to say we can't bring you in earlier, but we love that enthusiasm.
Yeah.
So keep it coming. I hope you're able to sign up.
And if it doesn't work with your schedule this time, right, and you need to defer, we do plan to run this whole series again. We expect that there's enough people in the area that are interested. So we'll be starting in late summer with the second set of the series. Great.
Oh, wait, we have another technical question here for Josh and Suk. How does Tableau compare to statistical analysis programs such as R?
Yeah, I could take that. I've used R pretty extensively. So it's sort of like comparing apples to oranges, right? So R is really a true statistical analysis. Data mining, predictive modeling is really strong in R. It can do some of the things Tableau can do. You've got like Shiny for visualization. But it's code-based, so you're writing code to generate your visuals, and really for anything you're trying to do in R. I'm a big fan of R, but I think it's just a different type of tool with a different skill set in mind. It's really a true statistical analysis language, where Tableau is more for data visualization, but Tableau does have statistical analysis capabilities built into it, so you can do cluster analysis, trending, forecasting is available in Tableau. And you can also actually integrate Tableau with R, so you can pass data from Tableau to R, run some models or some statistical analysis, and then bring the results back to Tableau to visualize. Same with Python. You can do that with Python as well. So yeah, I would say there are really different type of tools with different outcomes in mind, but there's ways to integrate them together. And then of course, another big difference, R is open source, so that, totally free. So that's a big difference as well.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'd like to mention that's a really great point, Josh. That what Josh said, and it doesn't strictly like just for R. Another platform that a lot of people use is SAS, which a lot of companies use SAS, and it is And same things that Josh just mentioned for R, we can also do with SAS, and there's a lot of other servers and platforms that Tableau can integrate to actually help with the statistical analyses. And what I've seen with Tableau, and whether or not you're going to use a program such as R or SAS to do the actual statistical part, is the size of your database. If you're using a smaller database, or if you do not have a server connection, it's sometimes better to let Tableau do the heavy loading and do the statistical analyses. But if you're working with a live connection, or you're working with, let's say, millions and millions of data rows, then sometimes it's better to make the integration with these other more statistical tools and let them do the hard work and push the visualizations through Tableau.
Terrific, thanks. We have a couple of questions. There's a question: do we need an enterprise license to share content analysis results on the web? And maybe a subtext is of that is, the project that we anticipate developing. How could that be shared?
So Tableau Public is totally free, and that's a way that you can publish any Tableau content you've created. You can create a Tableau Public account. There's no cost for that, no enterprise license. The only drawback there, it's not really a drawback, but unless you're a company, is it's public, so it's public facing, right? So there's no real security in place. There is Tableau Server, which is the enterprise tool for sharing content, within an organization. That's if you wanted to share content within your company. There's other ways to do it, but that's sort of the enterprise sort of standard way to do it. But in terms of the final project, that you could just post on Tableau Public, and that's totally free. There's no license required.
The other question here is and thanks, Josh. The other question is, did someone say that these courses give you enough training to test for any Tableau certifications? And we're absolutely targeting the associate certification. The more advanced certification, we believe we're going to cover off on all learning objectives. We're finalizing that right now, and we can revert to determine whether we'll be able to target all of the objectives in the certification in the last course.
And we have another question about timing. If someone is interested in the third course, DSV 413, is there a chance it will be offered sooner? And again, we'd love to say yes. At this stage, we're working through, we'd really like to get people into the first course, because we think that that's where you're going to build your skills if you want to go into course 2 and 3. If you already have the skills for 2 and 3, fantastic, and you can go right into it. At this point, we're offering them at the times that they are already presented. If we have an overwhelming response where we want more, there's so many participants that really want to have courses 2 and 3, and even we overfill on 1, then we can consider adding extra courses here and there. But at this time, I would not hold my breath that it will deviate from that session. There is a point in time where we may say, absolutely, we're ready, let's open another session, but not yet.
Yeah, I'd say this is our first information session, and we'll continue to assess how much interest, if there's enough interest to support multiple courses. We'd really love to do it. Right now, we're sticking to our initial times, but we love your feedback, right? We want to know when things will work and how soon you'll need them. We'll try to accommodate, but in this case, we're pretty locked down on the course times.
Right, and there's a couple more questions coming back about the timing of the courses. So the course schedule is set, and you'll see that when you register, and it's every Wednesday, it meets once a week. And again, the timing of that first day of that first course, we're saying is 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock in the evening. There's people asking if it'll be lunchtime or and another time. And it's possible, if that is something that all of the participants are favoring, and Suk and Josh for the third course are able to make that time work for them, then we will do that as well. But that would really be a collaborative decision with all the participants in the class. I hope that answers your question. If that is still a persistent question, please don't hesitate to email me about it. You'll find my email again on all of the communication you've received so far about this webinar. And the follow-up email will also include my email. So please don't hesitate to reach out about that. If you have some concern about that, we really try to accommodate as much as possible. Let's see, we have another question. Alex, do you want to take that one?
Sorry, so this is actually a question for Josh and Suk. Again, it's in learning Tableau, do you expect the question is it just the UI for Tableau, or will there also be content and know-how around development tools and working with the Tableau API?
That's a good question. I think the majority of it will be learning through the UI of Tableau Desktop, I think is what we're doing for the most part. There may be a chance to bring in I think what you're talking about is the data connector tools, something like that. That may be an option as well. Like Alex said, we're still developing some of the content, so maybe we can see if we can add that in. I don't know, Suk, is that covered in your courses at all, the API?
Sure. So we do cover it, but like Josh said, 99% of the time we're going to be using Tableau Desktop, and I think the extent to where what we do with the API right now is just to show you how to use the connector, but we don't actually go any further to showing how to go ahead and use all the different options that it has. But as we do continue to make this course, and depending on if any of the students want to bring this up in the live session, if we do have time and that's something that we want to cover, I think it should be an option.
Perfect. I was nodding. You look like you're ready to go with one.
Yeah, we have another couple of questions for our instructors here. One is, will we be getting into data science topics like cluster analysis?
So yes, and I think this is similar to the API question that we just had too. So as we go through course 1, 2, and probably 3 also, is that as we start getting into more of the analytics of Tableau, we will start covering all the basics and how to do analytics with Tableau, and we will get into the data science part of it and what you can do, and a lot of the statistical analyses that you can do within Tableau. But I think when you get into the specific analyses like cluster analysis or regression or something, we probably will cover these on a case-by-case basis as we are having our live courses. And if this is something that you have a question on or you just want to see how it's done and there's time available, I think we'll cover it at that point.
Yeah, that's great. Sorry, go ahead, Josh.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say, with things like that, like cluster analysis and linear trend lines, we would probably be something we cover more in the context of how do you implement this in Tableau, maybe high level, how do you interpret the results? It probably won't be, a full end-to-end, everything you need to know about cluster analysis, just because that's sort of out of the scope. But I think in terms of learning how to do it in Tableau, I think that's very, very likely to be a part of it.
Just one note on design from our perspective is that the courses really are a progression. So you should expect that the last course is the one that Josh is teaching will require the highest level of technical sophistication. That's the likeliest outcome, and that there is going to be a good dose of concepts along with the Tableau know-how that as part of a UC Davis extension course. So as Suk and Josh have said, these concepts, the specific ones to be covered haven't all been determined yet, but there will be a lot of conceptual learning and know-how. Your mind will be filled with data visualization techniques, processes, and capability that works in Tableau and can be abstracted from Tableau as well.
So we have another technical question. My home computer is a Mac and my work computer is a PC. How many installations will I receive with this class? Does one work better than the other? Are there minimum requirements for the Mac and or PC?
Yeah. That's a licensing question. So they'll get one license for one of the learner licenses. And so if they want to have the other computer loaded, they'd have to get a public license for that one. And I don't know if you guys have an opinion about whether PC or Mac is better.
In my experience, they're similar. The main difference is the Mac interface sometimes looks a little different and things will be moved around a little bit compared to what the PC version has. The Mac version is relatively newer. I think it was only added in the last year. But both should work pretty similarly. I would say in terms of hardware requirements, RAM, having a good amount of RAM is pretty important. I would say if you could try to have at least 8 gigs of RAM, that'll sort of make sure that you can handle data sets that get pretty large. I would say that's sort of the main requirement. Anything to add to that, Suk?
No, I completely agree with that. I think, for the hardware aspect of things, I think a lot of the newer laptops should be able to handle anything that we're going to be doing throughout the course. I think one option will be that if you do have an older computer or laptop that can't handle what we're doing, we will be sharing our desktops. So at least you can see this is how you're supposed to do it once your hardware is up to date.
Terrific. We had a question too, just confirmation, the course does not include a certification. That's correct. So the course itself doesn't have an official Tableau certification. What we are expecting to do is to deliver in the courses the know-how for the learning objectives or for the objectives of the certifications. And we know we've got the first one, and we're working on how much we'll be able to cover the second certification. But again, there's no actual Tableau certification. One would have to take the certification exam to get that. There is, as I mentioned earlier, a digital badge that will represent your participation in the course. Essentially, it's meant to represent capability that you've learned in the course. So to get it, you'll need to be at all but one of the sessions and get the passing grade on the final project. So that the project really is your proof, but the badge represents that.
Great. Let's see. We have another couple of questions. I think we covered, do you recommend a text or resource in addition to what we receive in the courses? That's a good question. They're different for Josh and Suk's courses, so do you both want to have?
Yeah, I think we'll recommend some text, but I think the goal is that you don't have to necessarily buy a separate textbook, but I definitely would have some I would recommend along with it.
I agree. In addition to the text, we will be recommending a lot of online resources that are going to be available, and a lot of, and probably what Josh has experienced through his career also is that a lot of the resources we use probably on a daily basis, a lot of websites that provide a lot of Tableau dashboarding tips and tricks, we'll definitely pass that along to all the students.
Great, thanks.
The cost of a public license, we have that question, and there is no cost for the public license, but you can't post private data. So when you're using the public license, it's a learning license, and it's open.
I think also that public license, the Tableau Public, is, I think there's a data size limit, and I believe it's only Excel and text-based files. At least they may have changed that recently, but I think in the past that was. So you can't connect it to a database. Just another sort of drawback to it.
The learner license that we have that learners will get for the course isn't a public license. It's a more complete license. So that won't be a limitation likely for the license that you'll be using for the course, unless you have 2 computers and one of them has to be on the public license.
So I think that's it on the questions that we have. We'll give you another minute or so if another question pops up, but I think we've had a great set of questions really covering a lot of both technical and content issues. And Josh and Suk, it's great to have you here with us to answer those questions. So thanks. I'm not seeing anything else come in. Let's see, let me check again. Oh, we're getting some thank yous. Thank you also. So I think that's
excellent. Yeah, thank you everybody for your time. You know, what you're looking at is the classroom right now. You're seeing into Josh's classroom space and Suk's classroom space and ours if we're ever on. And we thank you for attending today. We really are looking forward to your feedback, and so encourage you again to complete the survey. And then feel free to reach out to UC Davis Extension via Elizabeth and her email if you have further questions. And as needed, we'll pull in instructors to answer your questions as well. So thank you all very much, and have a good rest of your afternoon.
Bye.
Everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.